I'm the only thing that is is constant in all of it. And in his constancy, he says to us, this thing, do not remove the ancient landmark.
Boundaries, landmarks.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that, he says to us. And when you have ancient landmarks that have been set up, you think they are there for a reason? Boundaries. You think that injunction to say don't play around with.
But you know that it literally it was about land and stealing land, because land was wealth.
So don't remove the ancient.
Don't remove the ancient boundary stones or the landmarks which said whose line this is. So it's always so when you set it on land, it is defining territory.
I was reflecting
today in the spiritual sense. Is that where you were going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remove not the ancient landmark boundaries in terms of what has been set by the fathers.
Right.
So it was speaking about the physical boundaries that the fathers had agreed to.
Yeah.
But I want to stretch it a little bit.
And you remember that land was divided by lots in accordance with the will of God.
Right.
So carry on, sir. I get the history.
So if in the setting of boundaries, because you have boundaries with land, but you have boundaries in terms of how we must be in terms of our relationships with each other. And the fathers saw it fit to say, you must be thief. Say, do those things, because you're going to create other problems. So if we believe that there are not boundaries that have been set by our fathers in terms of our human relationships with each other, and we float them and do what we want, I said, sure, man, that is not for me. That is for somebody else. What do you think will happen?
Retribution, condemnation.
Anyway, the
man who set the boundaries will deal with you.
Yeah.
Basically, that is really
because God has set boundaries in terms of our human relationships.
Yeah.
And even today, in terms of I've started to pray, I says, Lord, you have set up your throne that is based on righteousness and justice, and you say mercy and truth. Those are ways, principles that you want us to operate it righteously, do things justly. Micah 6:8 says, there are three things. He has shown me, O man, what is good and what the Lord requires of thee, but to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with God. Which means you must fear God. You must hold God in high esteem, in awe of who he is. And when you do those things, it will affect your behavior, how you relate to people.
I have some good news for you.
What is that?
Earl Brown is offering us tickets to Israel, including your wife.
Are you kidding me?
Earl, please give Percy an answer.
No, I'm serious.
No, Earl says, Minette Lawrence, Pastor Palmer, and Mr. Lawrence, you two, the time has come for all three of you, including Pastor's wife, to visit Israel, land of Jesus' birth.
Send us that?
I say, send us the airline tickets.
Oh!
No, you're right.
I thought he was saying...
A visit to the Holy Land.
When he said send us, I thought it was him saying send the information that I can pay for the tickets.
Yes. Yeah. Earl, we gladly accept.
Yes. Yeah.
We gladly accept. But sorry, you.
But the boundaries are important that God has set in terms of how we relate to each other, how we do our governance. Yeah. And when we remove it and say, well, this is not important anymore.
You do know, and it's worth repeating, those boundaries that you speak of, the ones that are anchored in laws which are set and which operate with such independence and inflexibility, meaning when you consider that the universe or the created world, what God has created, is in him,
Yes.
and he is wrapped up in it. He
Yes.
is the world. And many of us say that, he is our world. That's what he is for us. Those boundaries cannot be moved. It's not a matter of you can trick it or you can, those boundaries cannot be moved. This is when, Christ in the vision with the apostle Paul when he was Saul, said to him, why do you kick against the pricks? Why are you kicking against something which you cannot defeat, subdue, overcome, and ultimately you only hurt yourself? So there are a lot of us who are beating our heads against the laws, that the set laws of God. We are defying the principle of honor.
Yes.
We are thumbing our nose
Justice.
at covenant relationships.
Yes.
We move counter to what the justice of God demands.
Yes.
And I'm just emphasizing this morning that it is an act of futility. This is really what is meant when Saul was asked, why do you kick against the goads or the pricks? The only one who gets hurt in that exercise is you.
Yeah, because
So I just wanted to make a distinction between those boundaries, which are a part and parcel of the stability or the unchanging nature of God.
true, right?
It's the anchor of our faith.
Come on.
I can go to my bed confident that God is a just God.
Come on.
No matter how things look today, no matter how I feel about the pressures that I'm under, I know that in the end, the eventual outcome of things will see me standing tall if I remain faithful, because he's faithful. I don't have to be in a debate about whether God will honor his word, because the principle of honor is one that he has set. He binds himself by it. It is him.
Wonderful.
And that's just something that I'm putting into the mix of the conversation, because when the proverb tells you and the prophecies say, do not move the ancient landmarks, it's much more about the things which God commanded man to put in place, which man can, in disobedience or in obedience, honor or disregard. But it is set there, kind of like the tree of good and evil, or the tree of knowledge. The fruit is there in plain view. You walk past it every day, and you always have a choice whether you are going to eat of it or honor the commandment that says, don't touch that. Now, Earl Brown, Earl, we must meet one day. Earl says, kicking a rock will only break the foot.
Yeah. The goes him call it.
No, he said, kicking a rock will only break the foot. That's the whole point of it. And we must know it. We have to develop the discernment to recognize when we are kicking against. And sometimes we're even praying about things, and we are in error because we are praying against one of those principles. So you know that prayer will never ever bring you the result that you desire. And you become frustrated and broke your foot because you are actually kicking against one of the ancient boundary landmarks. You're kicking against it. You will only hurt yourself. I'm saying that even as before we take our 7 o'clock break, I saw the timekeeper gave a look. We do want to say happy birthday to our Director of Public Prosecutions.
Oh, you want to say happy birthday?
Yes, I'm acknowledging her birthday, and on behalf of our listeners and the nation, in as much as I can speak for my nation, we do wish her a very prosperous season. Birthdays come around. I, for one, was never very joyful on birthdays. For some reason, birthdays took on this aura of deep reflection and planning. I kept thinking, oh my, have I accomplished what I wanted to? It became a time not for celebration, but for it's like an exam, and you're marking the paper now.
To see what have I done.
Grading yourself. did I earn my stripes this year? But there's the latter rain, and let us very seriously wish for a woman who has, for what, 15 years or so, has been at the top of the administration of justice in the area that she has
Prosecution.
domain, prosecuting. She's done work, and she's come into a season of great trial and scrutiny. I hope that as she celebrates her birthday today, she will
The Lord give
gain
her the
clarity,
grace.
and the Lord will give her the grace to exit this season and enter a new season with joy and with great hopefulness. Time for the 7 o'clock break.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
This is your beloved Pastor Percy from the Morning Connection. Support our commitment to Jamaica by joining us on Wednesday mornings at 7:30 when we pray for the nation. Show us you care. Advertise with us. For more information, call our offices at 876-276-8935.
Welcome back. 7:14 a.m. on Thursday morning. This is Free Flowing Thursday. And as usual, we are at the Ligony Club enjoying the beautiful outdoors. And it requires me to say thank you to our hosts here, our Ligony Club family. It has been a generous, would you say, Percy? A
Yes.
generous host, allowing us to use the gardens on Thursday morning. And just to tell you a little bit about them, it is a private members club, one of the oldest, I have no doubt, in the region, certainly the largest single sporting facility. We have six squash courts. Three of them are competition ready, glass backed courts where you can
This is where they
enjoy
do the
watching the
competition,
game.
right? Yeah.
That's where we do our premier squash competitions for the region as well as national competitions. We have 8 tennis courts, including a practice wall, which we're looking at it right now. There's no one out this morning. What happened to the
No man, some
usual
people
flow?
are out there.
Yes.
I see some
Oh,
around
you
the
can
corner.
see them. All right.
On the corner.
Um,
No wiffle, it
Walking
wiffle ball
trail.
you
Please
call it.
do not say wiffle ball.
You know wiffle
I
ball is a
know.
sport it is
Yes,
when
but it's not wiffle.
what is it
That
called?
what is the new um
Pickleball,
pickleball?
yeah.
Yes, pickleball. Yes,
Wiffle
we have
ball is
started
when we usually
pickleball.
play. You had a light ball with a very light plastic baseball, so you play wiffle ball as a precursor to playing real baseball. There's wiffle ball.
Is that black people baseball?
No, 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 no.
Anyway, please let me finish paying honor to our host. We're going to inquire into wiffle ball a little more closely. Okay, huge family size swimming pool, more than family size. Person said one step down from the Olympic size pool. And he should know he's an international man of sports.
Yeah.
What else do we offer? Full service gymnasium, complete with the different workout rooms, your cardio room, your weights room, and your for floor exercises. Yes, I'm particularly proud of what we've done with the gym. And we do have hotel rooms. Small number, under 50. I think it's about 37 or 8 hotel rooms. So if you are in the area for business or if you have family in town and you need a place to call home, the Ligony Club is what I recommend for you. The staff courteous and friendly, and the members might not pay you too much mind, but generally the members are okay.
No,
What else can
they're
we say
yeah.
about the club? So that's the club.
And the
Where
food
we
now.
are located
They go
now
let's
is
go for the food.
yes, we are up. We're seated in a part of the dining pavilion. JD's Urban Pub. This is your place for local cuisine with the usual international fare. Fusion cuisine has been the order of the day now for decades. Jamaica is a multicultural society. We have Indians, we have Chinese, we have Syrians, and of course, we are predominantly an African nation, predominantly Afrocentric. So all of that going to the food. We might overcook a few things, but basically,
Overcook?
yeah, man. Sometimes we punish the meat. Oh,
Oh my
we
lord.
constantly. When I was a child, for example, there were some things I didn't eat. I didn't eat. I couldn't swallow saltfish. It kind of got cooked to the ninth degree, and it just like trash. And anything like beef or pork with anything because we do cook our meat past the point of endurance. Nothing in it that is going to.
We don't like you go to America and they do what you call it, rare or medium or thing. We cook it.
Yeah, we
We
cook
cook
it
it.
solidly.
I,
No
I you know
medium to
you
well.
know one of the things
Everything is well done.
no man, no, the first time that I went to and they asked me, how do you want your steak
Yes,
done?
what temperature?
I said, it want to cook.
Well,
And,
I say, so well done then.
yeah, he said, want to cook, we want to cook. And then I
Yes, ma'am.
understood that there were different ways that people cook their meat. So
Yeah,
it's rare, medium, and well done.
and there are gradations between medium
And
and
then,
well done.
no, sir.
Yes, so we do overcook a few things and fish. We overcook fish.
in Jamaica?
Yes, we
We
do.
we mean when we fry it?
Oh Lord, we petrify it when we fry it. It's
Because
crispy and crunchy. You
the
can
Caribbean
eat the
crunch.
bones.
Yes, man. That's fried fish.
And then we put lots of pepper on
And
it.
they put no man, you know it's not lot. It's
But
escovitch
escovitch
fish. You put
that's
the
petrified
garlic
fish.
and the garlic and the onion and the thing, and it's good. I normally
Yeah.
love eating that.
And
It's yeah.
pickled carrots and
Oh,
pickled
yes, man.
pickled vegetables. Yeah, so we may overcook a few things, but basically our cuisine is just the delight. And do you know, I know we're talking about JD's Urban Pub and the way they accommodate us, the local breakfast, the ackee and saltfish, and now they've added some handmade sausages.
Okay.
That sausage which we tried last
Was
week.
very good. Was very
Yes,
good.
it's handmade sausage, It's not, you notice it was kind of coarse.
Mm-hmm.
The meat was coarsely
And
ground.
here we see Catherine.
And yes, first you get to see Catherine. Catherine is not on the menu, everybody. Just
Jesus,
please know.
oh my glorious Father. No,
All
sir.
right, okay. Sorry, first.
No, no, sir.
We have to let it be known. The staff not on the menu.
Oh my Lord. But she's normally very
They are
good to us.
gracious.
Very
And
gracious and
yeah,
they become our friends. That's
we're
what it is.
we're happy to be here. What about JLP and PNP, Earl Broad? They're overcooked also?
Oh, Jesus.
Or they're well done? I'm not
I
sure.
don't understand. He said,
Him just
nice
put in a
go.
JLP and
JLP. What is that?
no idea what he's talking about. Good morning, Joe. Yeah, we're hoping to draw Joe into another drop by conversation. I tell you, the club members are generally friendly, and Lowell and I have been members here for well over 25 years, I would say, from we were children.
From your children.
Percy trying to, I'm just not giving away the producer's age.
From your children.
That's all. Or
What about your
before we had children?
what about your age?
Well, everyone knows the producer is older than me, so therefore,
Oh, I see.
if I cover him, I'm also covered. All right. Before we took the break, I was drawing Percy into an appropriate recognition of the Director of Public Prosecution's birthday. It is not always so that as significant a personality as the DPP, her birthday, that individual's birthday has national significance. But on this occasion, her birthday is a very important watermark. And I just want to explain it for those of you who have been following it. The government of Jamaica made exceptional effort, no doubt ably assisted by the Speaker of the House, to timetable a bill. Sole purpose of the bill was to increase the retirement age for two offices that are addressed in our Constitution. One is the Director of Public Prosecution, and the other is the Auditor General. Now, I think the Auditor General got tacked on to give some semblance of normalcy to what was being done for the Director of Public Prosecution, because in her case, her birthday today, this birthday, is a watermark.
We should do it. 60 or 65.
No, she was already 60, got an extension for 2 or 3 years. Under the Constitution, prior to the amendment, she could only have got one extension because 60 is the maximum age for the DPP subject to an extension.
Okay. So she got the extension.
So she already got the extension, and
They couldn't give her another
that
extension.
She could not get another one. And she cannot be reappointed because you can't appoint someone who is more than 60.
Okay.
So
that is why they moved
great
that
acrobatics. The government amended the Constitution to increase the age of retirement to 65
for
so
the
that
AG and the
for the Auditor General and for the DPP.
Yeah.
The sitting Auditor General is not near the first age of retirement.
She's a young, nice
She
looking.
is a young, energetic woman doing her thing.
I like
So
her.
I think
Pamela Monroe
that
Hedges.
amendment was just brought in to make it look as if we're tidying up loose ends so we can be in conformity with whatever it is that the Pensions Act now says. Okay. The DPP, as of midnight,
Last night,
Yes, as of midnight,
would have turned 60.
aged out
She ate.
completely under the old constitution, under the pre-amended constitution.
Right.
So, for those who have challenged the government's unorthodox amendment of the constitution, those persons who believe that what the government did was itself unconstitutional
And they
and
have
that the
challenged
court
it.
will ultimately strike it down, those persons hold the view that every act done by the DPP
From,
as of midnight
yeah, it's
is unconstitutional.
unconstitutional. Wow.
So
And the government risked that.
and our government has put us in that
They moved
place.
the
They moved the ancient
ancient
boundary
boundaries.
stone.
That's why
Absolutely.
that's what they've done.
That's what they've done. That's what they have done.
And there is a in Proverbs said, don't mess with the ancient boundary stones. You're gonna get problems. And they just put themselves in a pickle. And now, on top of it now, the Speaker of the House.
Don't
Don't
mix
mess
the
it.
two streams. We'll go drunk.
Hey.
Let's take a holy path. If you mix the two, somebody will be drunk.
Oh my
So
Lord.
I just want to make it clear what that means for us. It means, as of this morning, anyone who is charged under an instruction from the Director of Public
The deputies
Prosecution,
can't do it, man.
no, you can only be. This now is, there's a principle. The Americans phrase it so beautifully. I'm just going to borrow from them. They call it fruit of the poisoned tree. There's the tree, the DPP is the tree.
Okay.
Anything that takes life from that tree
It's dead.
is poison.
Uh-oh.
Yes, because once the tree itself is poisoned, its fruit cannot be any different. It's scriptural in a person.
You know
You know
that.
that.
You know that. Yeah, yeah.
Man. Yes, 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 yes. You can't get bitter and sweet
Out
water
for
from
that's
the
the same
same
tree.
spring. You
Jesus
can't
asked
get
that
good
same
and
question.
bad fruit from the same tree.
He said, no, cannot. But no.
Not possible. That's one of the another ancient boundary. But that's one of the laws which was set by the Creator in the design of the world. It's one of the things that hold the world together. So it's not going to change. It will not change.
Wow.
So if the DPP loses her power under the Constitution, meaning her office, the continued tenure, is deemed unconstitutional, then every decision she takes, everything she does.
So what they do that?
So you have to ask yourself, why would your own government bring you to this place of uncertainty? Because right now, we already have a precedent for it, because although the court held that her first extension was constitutional, the manner in which it was challenged by the citizen who brought an action saying, you remember the one that was thrown out? Not thrown out, but
they said
he
no.
lost in it.
Yeah.
He has set the precedent now for how you do it. So, come today, tomorrow, all those who feel like this is my get out of jail card will begin filing their motions.
Let me ask you. No, that has serious implications for us as a society, as a country. So that is what the government has done with our justice system.
Yes, sir.
Why would they?
I'm explaining the impact of it, because sometimes you see these things and you think it's just politics.
It's not politics. No,
It
man.
goes to the fundamentals of the rule of law. When that signature appears on a document, that signature must come with authority. This is not monopoly we're playing with paper money and
It's
fake things.
paper money monopoly.
No, this is
No,
serious.
Jesus.
And let me tell you, those of us walking around now, free and not in any way affected by it, it mightn't mean anything to us. But you think of a person who is under prosecution for one or other offense, whose all their documentation is signed by this person, you would want to take advantage of anything that looks like a crack. And may I tell you this?
The
In
has no
other
idea.
jurisdictions, if later on the court says this was unconstitutional, everything done retroactively falls apart. And that's why you don't lightly put yourself in a place of such uncertainty, because you have to consider that when eventually the matter is decided on, if it falls in this direction, it invalidates a whole bunch of things, which would have meant that effort was expended, cost was incurred, and people's rights were violated by reason of the unconstitutionality of the office.
Oh, what a tangled web when we first practiced to deceive Walter Scott. Oh, and you see what it says? Oh, what a tangled web we weave when we first practice to deceive. Means that when you lie or act dishonestly, you are initiating problems and a domino structure of complications which eventually run out of control.
Good point to take a break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Good morning and welcome back. At 7:36 a.m., we are here at the Ligonier Club enjoying the cool climate and the brilliant sunshine. I'm really, really happy to be outdoors. I think every Thursday you hear me celebrating it. And you might think that I don't live in the Caribbean where, I mean, everything can be done outdoors. But we spend 4 hours in studio Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and by Thursday, yeah, I am stir crazy and I want to see butterflies. Like there are butterflies in the garden right now. The lignum vitae trees that are all around us really provide a home. If you look across there, Percy, this is the season when sometimes, sad to say, but when you're driving on the road is littered with the bodies of these yellow butterflies.
As season for breeding.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the lignum vitae trees seem to be their preferred spot. And here on this 100-and-odd-year-old property, we have a lot of our national tree,
Okay.
our national flower,
Yeah.
lignum vitae, yeah, because the blue maho
Is the
is
tree.
the tree.
Yeah.
Right, so we really love being outdoors and we get a chance to see one or two people pass by, and occasionally we're fortunate they'll stop by and spend some time with us. So that is acknowledging the hand that literally feed us, because we do have breakfast here on Thursday mornings, and being grateful for the beauty of the environment in which we are able to speak to you. First of all, I was spending a little bit of time just emphasizing for the benefit of our listeners the significance of this time of uncertainty, which has been imposed on us by the government's treatment of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution. We've been catapulted into an era when, for I think the first time, all persons who are under charge, who are being prosecuted, and against whom certain acts are taken or continued, because I think it affects the continuation. Because all of the decisions taken by her officers out there in the field at this time become compromised if she herself lacks the authority to direct them.
So even if something was happening before,
Began properly, but is being continued and decisions are being taken,
people can question the people.
people would question it.
Are you
Right now,
serious?
yes, like suppose you should charge someone and they enter into a plea deal tomorrow.
Yes.
The plea deal, negotiated by her officers or herself, whatever, now becomes questionable because of her lack of authority. Look at it this way: an
So what
attorney
if she
is
became
representing a
sick?
client. Let me make it literal. An attorney is representing a client. Start the case. In the middle of the case, the attorney is disbarred. Could the attorney continue?
No.
It's just the same thing.
So
If
that
in the case, in the process of time, her authority is removed by operation of law, which is what this would be, she could not continue to instruct and direct the prosecution of offenses in this nation.
no. So you are saying to me that there are two things that are instruments of parliament in terms of office: is the
Yeah,
the AG
there are
and
others,
and
but
DPP.
Auditor General, 'cause remember you have Attorney General named AG as well.
Oh, the Auditor General,
And you have
TP,
Accountant
Accountant General,
General.
yeah, which
So
is different.
the Auditor
So
General's
what you're
office
saying to
is,
me?
is created in the Constitution.
So what happens if she's sick and
No,
can't?
if she's sick, she still has her there. If she's sick, she don't lose her authority. She only lose her health. And say, if she dies in office, you can't continue using her name. You'd have to appoint a new person who would take up the office.
Oh, so that's what you mean. So therefore, we're getting a lot of opportunities in this country, to make things right. When you really reflect,
Yeah.
when you really reflect on what is, we have an opportunity with what has happened with the Constitution, the constitutional reform. We have a bigger opportunity with what is happening now in Parliament with this lady. We never talk about that, yet.
Yes, we're
That
coming to that because I don't know if she's gonna survive the month.
It means she might have to resign from because because should have been convicted of corrupt practices, so she can't stand.
Well, she hasn't been convicted yet. She's to be charged. But
Yeah.
why I said she might not survive the month,
There's a
we have to be careful about our mental health or physical health. And we also must carry a consciousness about the level of uncertainty and chaos that we impose on our nation. I cannot countenance or imagine any responsible public
government.
servant who would put
Themselves.
their ego, their personal satisfaction in the job or whatever they're doing so
Above
high above
the public good.
the public good
Hold on.
that they would just set them face like flint.
It's a biblical term. No,
Yes.
but what I'm saying to you is just think about it though. When our present leader of government with those letters, how much time a three strike him getting on?
So you
Going
mean when you say leader of government, you mean the prime minister?
the prime minister.
Right.
Remember the unsigned letters?
Yes.
Which other thing?
But when that plot was hatched, he was not prime minister. He was in waiting,
Yeah, but then he became
lining up the derricks for when he comes into office.
right.
So I pardon him for that one because
But after that, there
was
were
wheeling
two.
and dealing for
But
you
after
know.
that, there were two.
But you're talking about matters going to court. But those things didn't plunge us into uncertainty.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about the behavior and the thinking in terms of what would cause somebody to do those things, even though say something. No,
Is it
it,
because I am saying I can't imagine public a public
servant.
servant
Yeah,
so self-involved
yes.
that they would just go through. Well, it's several things, you know. I was naming some factors which constitute pressure on a person that ought to cause them to take a decision to protect themselves.
And protect the
So it's
people that them serving.
so let's listen. I was saying that for the speaker, as it is for the DPP, you holding onto your job or the position you currently occupy at a time when all public sentiments are against you,
Don't make no sense.
it does not make sense for you to be so stubborn in your position because one, your health is placed at risk, your mental and your physical health, because no matter how hardy you are, it's stress and the body responds to stress. And we may get excited and the adrenaline may run, but your body functions on a certain equilibrium being maintained.
Yeah.
Homeostasis.
Yeah, homeostasis. Yes.
Yeah. So your body, despite your love for adrenaline and the mad rush and excitement of death-defying activities, your body, the physical body that God gave you, is set to function in certain ways, and you can't change that.
That's why rest and sleep is important.
Precisely. Precisely.
So after a time, if
after
you don't,
time,
your
yeah.
body going haywire. Yeah.
So you might be ready to dukes it out to the last day, but your heart says enough. I wasn't made for this.
Your heart says enough. You like what you're saying. Your heart says, okay, I'm giving up the ghost.
You find yourself fainting when you really want to stand up and fight. You pass out. You have a stroke. You get a heart attack. You get distracted and drive too fast on the road. You crash. You lose your level of alertness. Somebody crash into you. I mean, any number of things because you're not in control of all the factors around you. So I'm saying that being so, when you find that one, your health is at risk and your mental health is at risk. Two, you are not adding anything good to the national discourse.
You're mashing it
In
up.
fact, you are mash it up. Chaos is erupting around you.
You think what is emerging, this chaos that you are describing, do you think is planned?
By the enemy, yes. Absolutely. Yes.
Everything about enemy. Not about me, I talk about human actors.
But the human actors are motivated by things that sometimes they're not even aware of it. They're just going on, putting one foot behind the other, not really recognizing that they are being manipulated by events. How many times you hear a person say, boy, this is beyond me, or this is above my pay grade, suggesting that if they had the control and the authority, they would do otherwise.
Yeah.
Now, hear me on this point now. This now is, I was radical one other morning. Was it yesterday I was being radical?
The day
Or
before.
the day before?
Tuesday we're being radical.
I was radical on Tuesday. I'm radical on Thursday. Each of us need to resolve in our mind that when it comes to doing the right thing,
We do the right thing.
I have the authority.
To do the right thing.
Absolutely.
Not to eat blood, sacrifice
Absolutely.
eat food, sacrifice to idols.
Absolutely.
The principle of
Percy.
that, yeah.
Absolutely. You must resolve in your mind that when it comes to doing the right thing, and we're going to talk about what is the right thing, I have the authority. It's not subject to my boss. It cannot be bought from me under a contract of employment. It cannot be purchased from me under a retainer. It cannot be taken from me under any secrecy act or anything. In fact, right now, the world is moving away from treating as inviolate those conditions of employment which would cause a man to move against his conscience. Should I say it again?
No, but I understand
World
what
over,
it,
even this wicked world
it's saying
is
that
recognizing that
you can't.
soldiers in the field who get an instruction from a superior officer, which
Can reject it.
contradicts-
Reject
oh,
it because it's against conscience.
against conscience. Even now in Jamaica, we are seeking
Whistleblower.
to enshrine in law
Whistleblower.
protection. The Whistleblower Act, the Protected Disclosures Act, is the legislation which Jamaica itself, as part of its anti-corruption move, is cementing in our society so that we know that when we exercise the authority to do the right thing, we can claim the protection of the state.
Conscience.
God not joking, because
Yeah, somebody would
even
say
in the
God not
midst-
sleep.
He's not sleeping. Because even in the midst of what we accept to be Babylon, the world of Mammon, even in
Babylon
the
is
midst of it,
confusion. Even Babylon means
those
confusion.
ancient boundaries, those fixed laws which are immutable and envelop the character of God, are being
Coming to the fore big time.
oh, please.
Coming to the fore big
Every
time.
time I see it, I just smile because I said to myself, many people will say, throughout the Bible, and why you keep talking about the Bible, and why everything
Straight
you
up,
and
straight up.
I said Pastor Lowell, why everything you and Pastor Percival gone to the Bible. There are many of you who listen to us speaking, and you think that because we use the principles of God as a reference point, that we are being religious or we are incorporating something that is not relatable or relevant into the discourse. We're not. We're just trying to teach you that these things which you believe are happening because man is being, man has evolved to a level of wisdom and knowledge. Not so. Man is still brutish and primitive, and
If
if
given
left
the-
by himself,
given the
his
ro-
nails would grow and his hair would
No,
get
it's a
scratchy.
serious thing. Given
That's still man.
given the way they will not given the way they will not opt for the more excellent way.
Yeah.
They'll go the other way.
They would go the other way. But
And we must
but
not, and we must
God,
realize that. But
in
God
his
is
sovereignty and his wisdom is imposing his principles of order into even the things that wicked man do. Of course,
And it's there for-
sometimes we pervert it and we use it to
Oh, Jesus.
inflict harm on each other. Like when you hear that the Bible is a hate,
speech.
what hate
It's-
contain hate
it's
speech
speech.
and should be banned. It turns on its head in some instances, but it is still God imposing order, because this government and all these things that we construct in the world are going to give way.
To the
And yes,
to the kingdom.
and the transition is underway right now.
Right, but as you
People like myself, people like you, this program is one of the tools that God is using to create an awareness and to sensitize his people to where he's taking us and what we need to do to be amongst those that are the redeemed of the Lord,
the remnant.
the
people.
remnant.
But you know, you said something very interesting
What is that, my
that
brother?
God is saying, remember, I am the one who have created you.
Yes.
If I have created you, then I know what is best for you. So when you you kick against the goat or kick against the brick as um early saying on nine, you broke your foot.
Yeah, broke your foot
Foot.
on the stone.
And that is what happened to Saul, who became Paul. He says, why are you doing this? You don't see you're going to lose.
You're
It's
only hurting yourself.
it's like with what we're seeing unfolding nationally. We're asking, why are they doing these things? Why are they persisting in doing what they're doing, knowing that it is wrong? The public is saying something wrong, and even the public is waking up and saying, "What's something?
It's
You
not
know,
right.
something not right with that, you know." Because there's something in us that yearns for the more excellent way in terms of how we relate to each other. And I'm saying, no, no, no.
I would have to wonder what that something is, because as it became evident that man was never going to survive under the Mosaic law, God says, I will enter into a new covenant and I will place my law in your heart.
In the heart of man.
So inside of us, whether we like it or not, it sits there waiting to be activated. And there are situations in your life which will, when you respond in a proper way, because under the New Testament covenant, Christ says, behold, I stand at the door and knock. So he's knocking, and if you open it, he will come in and activate the laws which were already programmed in your heart. This is the digital age, so all of us know what it means. You know, just as an aside, I saw another attorney writing about how a client of his received an email from the bank which required the client received the email or which says your account has been compromised, something about renewing, click. So they clicked the renew and opened the door to the hacker. So that was the hacker standing at the door and knocking with the false email.
Oh,
False
Jesus.
flag operation, to borrow a word from the spy novels. They stood there clothed in the vestments of the bank. Everything about it was similar.
Seem legal.
And knowing that in this day and age, everybody paranoid that their account has been compromised, the bank was saying, your account has been compromised. In order to fix the situation,
Jesus.
click on this link.
I think
So,
that's what Bert was writing about.
yes, I think it's an attorney from Bert's firm too. I recognize the name. Who wrote again, this happened now. He wrote a letter now saying this was the experience of one person who opened the door to the knocking of the thief and ended up being raided. So you understand how that is. Once you open the door and the person comes in, they have access. So they will activate what they need to and take what they need to. But Christ, who before the days of password and cyber hacking,
I'm saying I stand at the
Christ
door
says, I stand at the door and knock.
in Revelation.
Yeah,
If
man.
anybody hear my voice,
Anybody here? Open.
Revelations.
I'll
No.
come in, I'll dine with you, you dine with me. He offers an experience which when he comes in, it becomes possible.
To change.
Absolutely.
That man is thinking in
And
his
it's
heart.
because he knows that the heart is already programmed to receive
What he's
what
given.
he's giving.
Right.
Once you open the door, it's all access. I'm just borrowing an analogy out of the digital, the virtual world in which we live, and putting it into the interpretation of some ancient words so that it's relatable to anyone listening who's thinking, how does all that old thing apply to me today? We're seeing it being played out in virtual reality once you engage with certain programs. They stimulate centers in your brain
Yeah.
for activities to become meaningful to you. So you put on a headset and you're immersed in a world where you think you're flying, you think you're shooting a weapon, and your body is responding chemically in the same way it would if you were doing it in real life. That's why virtual reality is so engaging and why so many people lose themselves.
All right. And that's why virtual reality can be so misleading also.
All right, we're gonna give us a morning connection greeting to Mr. Nicholas Foster, who's visiting Jamaica from the UK. Yes.
Jamaica.
A Jamaican. Oh, born in St. Anne. So, hi, Nicholas. I hope you're enjoying your time at the Ligani Club.
Second time.
Ah,
Yes, and I'll be coming back next week.
excellent. Well, when
So
you
it must
come
be
back
good.
next week, I am sure that the producer will
Yeah.
make some time for you
I
at her
hope so.
table.
Yeah,
All
I hope
right.
so. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, we're making it a regular thing to chat to our visitors and club members as they're passing through. I love the hair. All right, so maybe in the next go round we'll put a camera on Nicholas so you can see. All right,
Yeah.
things are happening in Jamaica. Welcome and enjoy.
A lot of things are happening. I've
Yeah.
noticed a lot of persons from the diaspora, which is your favorite place to come back and give. They've gone out to come back in prophetic.
Bearing gifts, they come
And
bearing
even
tribute.
even as we remember people in the diaspora,
Who are you remembering in the diaspora right this minute? No, no one in particular. I just felt you were thinking about Lady Sarah. Back to school time. I'm sure she's been blessing her usual.
oh yes, yes, she's here actually. She's here.
Yeah,
She's here. She's here.
we haven't
She's
met her. We've only spoken to her online.
probably we
On
should
air.
you
All right.
probably should
Earl
just
Brown is making me smile with one of the statements that the Apostle Paul was known for saying. I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ.
right is
We
the power
can't be.
of God
We
unto
can't be because
salvation.
and there was a time when it seemed like something very esoteric or something married in not suspicion, in superstition.
That's what they wanted us
And
to believe.
highly educated people avoid superstition. We need hard cold data. We need empirical studies. We need things that show real world application and track record. But I think more and more we are seeing that
People are understand.
activities from the invisible realm are having greater impact and more lasting impact than the things you and I are touching and feeling and dealing with, because those things that are in the physical world are all temporary. They are subject to decay, disintegration, change of face and opinions, and we see them over time proving to be useless.
That's it. Those are strong words,
So
but
we
it's
are,
true.
yeah, we see them proving to be useless. I mean, look at it. For 5 years, you're in power as a politician. And by year 3, you're convinced that you will always be in power.
They do everything to stay in power.
And you begin to do everything to stay in power. But as sure as night follows day, you lose power. You either lose power because your party falls out of favor, or the party not like you anymore, because there are many persons who used to be
And they're no longer. We
and
see
they
it
are no
happening.
longer.
Person once they're gone.
Yeah, or ill health take you and you just have to focus on self, and that power you used to wield is no longer at your disposal, and the things that you could affect and the way people treated you all change.
You know, as they talk about ill health, I'm wondering if
Which one?
the gentleman going on again,
Which one that now?
the one in Clarendon, Mike Henry. 'Cause
Oh,
it does occur to me because he's close. He's
It's close to 100.
at 100. All right,
Well, it's
90.
closer to 100 than he is to 50.
Yeah, I'm not saying. Oh. As they talk about ill health and thing, it's just run across my mind as we wish people happy birthday.
Well, now, did you watch the news last night?
Come on.
Did you?
We don't have no TV.
Oh, you're taking a sabbatical?
From TV. No.
All right, I'll bring you up to
Lightning
speed
goes
in
up.
the break.
Lightning, just took it out, took
Are you
out the
serious?
video. Yeah, man.
I think you
Lightning.
mentioned that. All right, so we're gonna talk about it during the break because it's 8 o'clock. When we come back, I'll bring Pastor Percival up to the TV running, and he and the producer can keep the joke going. When we come back, please stay with us. It's 8 o'clock.
No.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
This is your beloved Pastor Percy from the Morning Connection. Support our commitment to Jamaica by joining us on Wednesday mornings at 7:30 when we pray for the nation. Show us you care. Advertise with us. For more information, call our offices at 876-276-8935.
Good morning and welcome back. It's 8:12 a.m. Man, we grabbed hold of Mr. Foster in the break and I had a quick chat with him. He's here actually until the 11th of October. So
It's
he
training.
promised us that he will spend some time with us. And the reason I'm mentioning it, aside from the fact that if you want to be chatting with us on a Thursday morning and you pass by, I think the producer has settled it now that we're gonna just choose a random guest who's dining in the restaurant and have a chat with them at the table. We did it a couple of weeks ago with Joe, and out of that, we're going to do some more for you to just guide you in understanding what levels of protection you can get through insurance products for losses suffered when your account is breached and them thief your money because the one who stood at the door and knocked was really a wolf in
Oh,
sheep's
jeez,
clothing.
Lord
Yeah,
have
we know
mercy.
how to mix scripture with modern day telling. Yes, grandma. Yeah, so Mr. Foster is here actually
Training.
conducting training with some government agencies. When he comes, he can tell us, he can speak his own business, but he's training in the area of general data protection. And it's a pleasure to know that Jamaicans are investing in improving their education in that area. And it's also a wonderful thing to see a Jamaican born professional coming back from the UK.
To train.
And I do hope that
Diaspora.
when they engaged his services, they knew that he was a black man. Because we get some stories about, I remember someone telling us a story about how they, yes, man, they entered into an arrangement with a Jamaican government agency from London, and they spoke and on the phone, and all of the arrangements were made, and the team from London flew into Jamaica, were met at the airport by the government representatives, who were visibly disappointed when they saw that the people were black. They thought all along that they had been negotiating with
So white
some
people.
white people.
Is it just part of the stereotype and the mindset that we need to break?
That we gotta break.
And I remember I said there are a lot of things that are happening in the body politic that we have to come to
The body's under reformation.
mission. Yeah, that we have to face
To
up
their
to.
credit, on that occasion, let me say this: to their credit, they did come to understand that the disappointment was because they said, I don't think the ministers and others who have decisions to make are going to accept you as competent to do what you have set out to do. So it was prejudice, but they said it's not us. We like you.
Oh,
But we
geez.
think those above us are accustomed to making those deals with people of a different ethnicity.
And that just speaks to the plantation economy
Yeah, man.
and
The
the
fact that
vestiges of it come back down. And we have it in a, not the black no good. You remember that in a
oh
way?
yes, that lady who used to who I spoke about from my childhood when I was in boarding in Brownstown, that was one of her favorite comments. She's the first person I heard with it.
Nothing black no good.
Too black. Yeah, but you see, where I come from, nobody could be saying that. My father was black man, solid black man. My mother was of a paler.
Few.
Yeah, but my father was the power in the house, and his color was the color that carried the power. So nobody could get up and say nothing too black.
But I tell you something too. I tell you the
Get
first,
evicted, you'll be put out.
but as you talk about their disappointment,
Yeah.
I remember the first job I had, and I told you what it was working in the ethanol industry. Went to Brazil,
Yeah.
and it was myself and the guy was planting. We were buying equipment. I was um, filling out the lab and learning procedures and things. And when the people who were negotiating with saw that it was him, them say, "You are the plant manager. You are the thing." They couldn't believe it that we were black and we were spending some significant money then.
So were they pleased or they were just surprised?
They were surprised. They
Okay.
were the people because I had to interact with the people in the lab, and then we went to the in Brazil. They had a big thing, and they were saying, and they saw these two black men walking around the place, and was saying, the, the, they were saying, really? So I got a chance to mingle with them and go out, and they fetted me and rounding. Where was it? Sao Paulo, yeah, in Sao Paulo. So they couldn't fathom it because the people I interacted
I'm gonna
with.
poke you a little. So when you say they affected you, did they attempt to bribe you?
No, they
Honey
didn't.
pot you?
No, man, no.
They not
'Cause
honey potty?
no.
Oh, you said no, they didn't.
When they talk bread, I think honey potting and all of those things come in the same category. I just remembered it, and that is when I recognized
Okay, so
that
let me
Brazil
tell you
was a
what-
racist,
so let
was
me-
a racist
Yeah, let
country.
me tell you
Yeah,
what the honey pot is.
yeah.
They
I know what
use-
the honey pot. I know what a honey pot is.
You do?
For the woman, honey
They
pot.
use beautiful women to seduce you into a greater state of compliance and agreeability.
I wasn't honey
You'll
pot.
be honey potted.
I wasn't honey potted.
You just find yourself saying, "Oh yes, yes, yes. I could increase the price. Yeah, my offer could go up by
Yeah.
20%."
No,
While
but
some ladies saying how big and strong you are, how wealthy you are, how powerful you are,
Oh,
and
geez.
such other
things
encouragement.
to stroke your ego.
To stroke your
To stroke the ego and thing. No,
Yeah.
but I found it was an eye opener for me. I remember it clearly. They couldn't understand. I said, "You're spending so much money?" Yeah. I said, "Okay."
They trust you to spend that money.
Yes. So
Anyway,
it was.
we have evolved.
Yeah, wait. So and then I discovered
Brazil.
that Brazil was I love Brazilian football, but it's a racist country.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna beg to differ a little bit
But,
and say that there are some racist people in Brazil,
but it was the
but
racist
Brazil
country.
is not a racist
Because remember, outside of the West Indies, that's where a significant
a number of black people are.
are
Yeah,
went with
yeah,
slavery.
yeah.
Yeah. So
But you know why I say it? Because all week I am bringing to the consciousness that duality of man and nation. So, like you would say, you met with one or two individuals who displayed some racial discrimination. Yeah? These are individuals expressing themselves. And out of it, you could leave and say, this is a racist country. No, I'm not saying that it is or isn't. I was just messing with you.
as you
I
always
went
do.
to, yeah, because I'd never thought of Cuba as a country in which racism was a thing.
It is.
But when I went to Cuba and made certain observations, I said, whoa,
It is.
why is it that all the people with the pail and the janitorial tools
Are
are
black.
black?
And the
And the
people in
ones
the
at the
power.
front desk and the ones
Or-
who are, out and about and well dressed and look smart are of a different color. And
Yes,
even
sir.
when I went to the Palace of the Revolution,
You saw
and
it
I'm
too.
looking at, I saw it. And they don't have an issue with gender. Women can do whatever they want to do in Cuba.
But color can't do anything.
But you see, so I saw women all over, in high places and low places.
But the color of their
But,
skin.
yeah, so the bias is not gender based,
It is color
but
based.
you saw it. Now, how that comes about, because people might scratch their head and say communism don't know color, or communism is about state and people. But somehow that's how it was. So it's unconscious.
And,
Whatever
but,
the answer is,
but-
I
but then-
left Cuba with the clear impression that race matters in Cuba.
it did. No, but
Race and opportunity run in the same track.
it was. Let me tell you why.
Yes.
Because I made that same observation. Because I went to Cuba twice. Government to government. I was
Only twice?
representing the church, and I interacted with the church there. Boy, that was. There's no church in Cuba, but I met.
Of course.
I went. Yeah, man. But I noticed the people who did track and field or played sport and thing were of our hue, but the people
Yes.
were in the ballet and all of them
Yes,
things
yes,
were.
yes. So you went
were
to Copacabana.
it was
I
fun.
love that
It was fun.
performance.
And that's where I was introduced to tights. And it was also my tights.
Men in tights.
No, women in tights. I never saw my tights in my life. I'm
No
going,
mercy.
they don't have nothing else.
Interview you.
No, no, I tell you, I was just blown away. I said,
So you were honeypotted.
she not leave that one day, no, Mr. Producer.
No, I take that back.
No, but
Yeah,
it-
but no, Cuba is an experience. Yeah, Cuba is an experience if you get a chance to go. But in my dealings with them, though, and I was being called Jefe. You know what Jefe is?
no,
Chief.
oh, FA.
Jefe.
Oh.
I went I was there. Yeah, that's it.
We're the head of the delegation.
My little piece of it. I'd gone with the Prime Minister of the day, as I was the chairperson of the Youth Council.
Right.
So I had my little squad, and I was the head of that little piece of it. And so my
Who was on that
translator-
team? Who was on that team with you?
I don't remember. A long
Was
time
Hannah
back.
on at that team?
Hannah was there.
That mean I was there too.
But where were you? How far from me were you?
Come myself and Hannah.
But remember, Hannah was later appointed as
But the man said
ambassador.
that, yeah, but before he was appointed,
When he was courting the job.
no, before he was appointed,
okay,
we
did
were
you go-
roommates.
so
We're
did-
roommates.
So did you go with Prime Minister PJ Patterson?
remember.
That's the mission. He was the head of.
No, I don't
State
think so.
at the time.
No.
Okay.
But it was during his time, though. It was during his time.
Yeah, man. Hannah was.
I was in the 90s. I was in the 90s when I went.
Okay. Let's see. I came back to Jamaica '95. All right, Percy and I are gonna compare notes later to see if perhaps we should have met in Cuba but didn't.
Yeah, you understand?
But I knew you from campus,
Yeah, but
so I would have recognized you if you're on the delegation.
I was there. I
We
was.
went in a, we went in a, I'm gonna say private plane, but it was, yeah, we traveled. We didn't travel commercially. Let me put it that way. And the whole delegation was transported, and I
We
mean, it
were
was the
to.
prime minister's delegation, so it was treated in a certain way.
Yeah.
So I was starting off by saying that never in their interaction with me did I experience any disfavor by reason of my color.
Okay.
Do you understand?
That's in Cuba.
So in Cuba, so everywhere I went, I was accorded the respect commensurate with my official position, and I saw that too.
The same for me there
Our
when I was
prime
there.
minister was treated.
Regally.
Everything was on point. But what I observed in the country itself, the people, how they were positioned and who had what jobs, I did notice. In the hotels, it was so.
Yeah, it was. It was.
In all the public facing, you now sometimes because here's Earl online making an observation that he was asked a high government official of a certain country, he said, asked him why Jamaican trade representatives at a trade show in Europe some years ago, why those persons were white.
She could not
She
figure.
couldn't figure it out. So there are times when we take decisions based on what we think is acceptable to the world, but it doesn't really reflect
What the world is thinking
what
about us.
or what we think.
Yeah.
Yeah? Because when we were doing carousel, for example, Lauren can bear me out on this. Many persons said to us, where's the white man who's fronting?
For you.
Because
That
many
wasn't no
persons
problem. When you
said
never
to
have no
us-
white man. You never have a white
Many-
man.
Many persons said to us,
Yeah.
you needed to put a white face at the helm of your business and you stay quietly in the background because no one will accept your face at the and even today
In Jamaica,
in
yeah,
Jamaica,
yeah, and it's
Jamaicans
Jamaica.
tell you that. Jamaicans in power tell you that. And Jamaicans who are walking the streets tell you that. No, man, but you don't must know better than that, man. What the turn about?
But it's
Yeah.
it's a part of the
So we may not think that we have a racial bias personally, but we think the world does. And we think the world is expecting us to look a certain way, and we curate that appearance so that we can get by.
emancipate
that
yourself
is
from
that
mental
cynicism? Is that
cynical.
yeah? What is that? Would you say that that's practical and playing by the rules,
I'm never
or
sure.
would you say that
You must
people
rise
should
up and
do
go, no man.
like
And
what we did?
yeah. I said no.
Push against it,
And push against it until you change the
lose
narrative.
everything that you have, be rendered unemployable and unemployed, struggle to feed your children
Because you believe
Because you believe in
in
something.
principle. Well, the early Christians were like that, you know. So
I think we have to be like that, quite honestly.
yeah, because people said, no man, you can't do it. And it's true, you know, I see it all the time. I see it all the time.
Earl is pointing out that the discrimination in Cuba, that this whole, and he's
Batista,
making a
that-
good point. He says it's a leftover from Batista's time. Now we know that Colonel Batista is the one that
That's the
Castro-
strong man.
yeah, that Castro displaced. And something,
It's true.
there is an extent to which these things can become institutionalized, and you keep doing them without even knowing what led to it. So you just keep hiring from the same
Perpetuated.
stock,
Yeah.
or or things get handed down from one to the other, kind of like the caste system in India. I just say kind of like, because the caste system
Whoa,
in India
that
is
one.
so intertwined
Twined
with
with-
religious and spiritual matters
Yeah.
that you can't discuss it lightly.
No, it's a sin, no, it's a
But
major
there are
thing.
some things, you're born into a family that does this occupation. You will die in a family that does this occupation. You can't get out of your car.
That's why I say a lot of Indians leave India and go to
Yeah.
other places
Yeah.
because
They can't
the
escape
tape, yeah.
birth
Yeah.
in
It's a-
in
the-
India. We had a lady here. She's of blessed memory now, an attorney who was from a highborn caste
in India.
in Pakistan.
Yes.
Right. And This is an attorney giving me the story now. Another attorney. So she's come to Jamaica and she's practicing law.
Right.
And some Indians from a lower class are now in Jamaica
Making some money.
doing very well.
And she would never take them
And
business.
she took their business, but she treated them like dogs. So the attorney who was a witness to the relationship now was telling me that when they enter, they bow and scrape, and she just she overbills them. She don't even bother bill them really. She just demands money, and they had better bring it. And they are very differential in their attitude when they're around her. These big men of business, when they're in the presence of this woman of a higher class, she treats them.
That sounds like
in
something
accordance
spiritual. Eh?
with- Of course, that's why I said it is so bound up with spiritual matters that you can't discuss caste as just a social structure. It's very spiritual, as you say. Is it already 8:30? Wow, and we have not talked about the speaker must go. All right, when we return. Good morning and welcome back. So we've entered the eighth. Oh, this is the time when we would open our lines to receive calls. But well, that will be for Monday. Do I sound appropriately regretful?
You don't sound that way there at all.
Today it's just Pastor Percival and myself.
Speaker must go.
Closing closing off the arguments and the threads that we spun into the atmosphere from Monday. The speaker must go is the headline for the Gleaner. Now, you kind of wonder sometimes, what really goes into the headline. A very pro government publication, that the Gleaner is very pro government.
They are? I thought
Yeah,
they
they
were
are.
even handed.
No, the Gleaner even handed.
So the
Oh,
Observer
you're
was
speaking tongue in cheek.
even handed.
No, they're not even handed. The Gleaner is very pro establishment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if the PMP was in government, then be
They'd be, oh, yes.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. No man.
And that's a kind of a natural inclination because many who think that observing rule of law and so on means you have to be pro establishment.
You don't have to be.
You don't have to be. You can just be a balanced voice that
That's what they need to
honors
be.
principles,
That's what they need to be.
and that's how you present yourself.
That's what you have to be.
Yeah, I've been, case in point, yesterday I was saying to one of our listeners who says one day he will call, a good friend of mine, to whom I was saying, I really don't care who heads the government, PNP, JLP. What I want to see are principles at work which bring prosperity and wellness to Jamaicans. That's what I want to see. If
Made upon the same wavelength. You talk in
Absolutely.
Jamaica. That's what we
Yeah.
keep saying to people. That's what needs to happen in regards to, and people
know?
so
Wow. Are we getting the camera on this? Because this morning I just felt like having fruits at the table. And I made a request, and Miss Catherine, God bless you, Catherine, brought us
Catherine
a
is my
plate.
friend, my lady.
Yeah, with melon. And these are local fruits. Melon, papaya, and pineapples. And what's this fruit again? It's not honeydew, it's the other one.
Which one?
This
This?
one, the orange looking one. Not orange, this one.
Cantaloupe.
Cantaloupe. I always forget it. Oh, yes. But the producer is even having some. So he's so grateful that he was included in Catherine's generosity. Yes, in my family, I eat all fruits. So whenever Lowell doesn't eat a fruit,
I do
comes to
too.
me. It must be the Palmer genetics. I eat all fruits and I eat all vegetables. The things I don't eat are like chicken feet. You
Me
too?
neither.
Oh my gosh, we're brothers.
So look on the mark.
It would be this would be difficult. I don't eat chicken feet. They look like the hands of small children.
It looks like claws. Worse still. Worse, worse,
Right.
worse.
Free flowing Thursday. It's that time when we just digress and say whatever we feel like.
That I love it.
And yes, it should be known to the world that Lowell delights in stewed chicken feet, curried chicken feet,
Sliding off the bones.
sliding off the bone, he says. Okay. Enough of that. I have to settle my stomach so I can have my fruit. Anyway, local fruits. That is that's a staple.
And do you know,
Yes.
having traveled and eaten fruits
All over the world.
all over the world, even if you eat a pineapple here and a pineapple, it tastes different. The ones that it's something about
The
our
volcanic
soil is soil,
The
yeah.
volcanic soil of Jamaica.
No, sir.
Have you been to China? When you go, get some
Lychee.
like
The Chinese lychee are made from magic.
Why do you say that?
in the Bible, it's two men carry one grape.
So big like
I now understand why eating and radio don't work.
Yes.
Because you want to eat. And radio requires talking and clear enunciation. You cannot be delighting in the flavor of the fruit while you're speaking. But I do want us to look at this issue with the Speaker of the House. Speaking to a friend of mine yesterday, he was saying he was sort of likening it to a storm in a teacup.
Which storm?
Um,
No, which
large,
storm? Which storm? We have a,
not Hurricane Alan or Gilbert.
it says a storm in a teacup.
In a teacup, he was kind of likening it to much ado about nothing. But what he was focusing on was, if we're talking about corruption, the mistreatment of one concession is hardly, a grand event.
Okay.
So I was emphasizing for him that what I see in it, and I'm just share my thoughts with you. What I see in it is just a brilliant strategic maneuver by the
But I told you.
Integrity Commission in neutralizing a significant personality in the playing field for events to come. To me, that's like when it is which match we were playing when they gave one of the Jamaican footballer, the girls,
A
they
red-
gave her a red card and took her out of the next match.
Oh, you mean Bonnie when
Yeah.
we're gonna play
And did we lose?
no.
No, the next one, the one that she didn't play in.
No, we drew.
We drew. She didn't play. Okay.
We did do it.
We didn't win. Yes, I did. Thank you, Lowell. We didn't win. Anyway, the point I'm making is you can maneuver your players so that you neutralize someone who could be a humbug to you in the next engagement. It's clear that this speaker has the strength of character and the waywardness to just pick a position that makes sense to nobody
Nobody.
but her and stick with it. She will choose a word that offends her sensibilities and censure you for it, even when the dictionary and every other sensible person says, "What are you doing? This is not an occasion for censure." She will say that is not appropriate in this house.
That's how she behave.
Well, is that what she did to the person who said something about pussyfooting?
Oh, oh yes, yes, yes.
She flicked a censure on the man and said that word is not to be used
Yes,
in
the
this
man
house.
say pussy fitting around the place, and we clearly understand.
Everybody know that there was no bad words.
No, sir.
But she had a view about it. And no matter how much talking went on, she did not stir and withdraw her position and say, "Well, okay, guys, I overreacted." But really now, be mindful of how I think and feel. There are
Something went through my head a while ago, but when you finish, I'll tell you, I'll be able to say,
there are ways that you can pull back from the edge of the cliff. You don't have to go sailing over it and let your people mourn.
but what you have said in terms of how the Integrity Commission do,
Maneuvered.
yeah, but it's 6 years now. You don't see
So you
smoke
feel
without
like,
fire.
You feel like they were waiting for the right moment to deploy that particular one.
Well, I don't even know.
I can't fault them.
But
for
I
being
remember
strategic.
when we made the presentation
Yes.
and the question came from Mr. Chuck to say, can
Should the commission
me be
be
able to
permitted
to do retro
reopen
when yes.
declarations which they had already closed from prior years?
And they said yes.
And the word was, surely we can. Because if you deceived us years ago
Yes.
and we come upon it now, we are opening up the whole thing because this is about integrity. This is not about timeliness of disclosure.
It is about integrity.
It's about integrity,
And
which is a
integrity
continuing obligation.
and integrity is integrity. Whatever year it is. So that means on that
Absolutely.
account, not our politicians would have
Yeah, but you don't realize now, when the question was being asked, those members of the committee knew that these things were underway.
that's why I say don't
They
see smoke
knew
without fire.
that these questions were being put and investigations were underway.
For the different people.
And let me tell you, this is where I get a little testy because, we say truth and mercy go before the face of God. And you would desire that when these things are happening, they are dealt with fully Not necessarily saying in the public view. But take, for example, parliamentarians are under scrutiny. Today, based on reports they made 4 or 5 years ago, which today's happenings have revealed that those reports contained misrepresentations, untruths, or errors, for argument's sake. What would prevent a parliamentarian who believes that, as a matter of law, I should not be forced to go back? What would prevent them from taking the issue to court and getting a decision on it instead of all these things going on in the shadows? That's what makes me kind of impatient with how we do things. We are not we're not people who honor accountability, transparency, and truth. Sometimes we hear the truth, and because we are so jaded in our own thinking, we disparage it. But rather than set in motion a process to bring clarity and definition to what we're doing, we leave it in a gray area and it becomes a problem later down the line. Because really, if the Integrity Commission had embarked on this kind of post event analysis and reopening of doors, and parliamentarians, in the for the most part, felt that
They shouldn't.
they shouldn't deal with it definitively. If it requires a law, introduce the law. If it requires a judicial ruling, bring a case. I don't really understand the things that are just left. But you see,
Yeah, but I
I am
understand
of a
that.
school of thought that says finish things. If it is an issue, work it through, bring it to a close, document what has transpired, so the next person doesn't have to go back and start from the beginning of time.
Yeah, I understand that. But you see, let us take into consideration our grandparents and some of the things that they would say to us.
My grandparents were barely literate and probably didn't write much.
Yeah, but they would say a lot of things. There's a lot of wisdom in terms of a lot of things that they would say. Like the whole thing we've spoken about, the ancient boundary. Don't move them. Truth, truth is truth. My grandmother, who is now deceased, but my mother, I'd get into some situation, and she would say to me, call me by my pet name. She would say, Junior, just tell me the truth, son. Don't need to go around the corner or thing. Just tell me the truth.
How often did she have to tell you that?
Not a lot of times, but there are on occasions when I want to get out of a situation, she would say to me, no. Just tell me the
She could
truth in
see the
terms
look on your face.
tell me the truth in terms of what happened. And I says, all right. And this is something I say to my children in terms of continuing to say to them just the truth. Let the tax or the whatever fall me. There's an expression.
Let the chips fall
Fall where they
may.
must. Yeah. Just talk the truth. Because when you speak the truth, you don't have to remember what it is that you have said. And I think that's important principle because the truth will always win out. And it stands by itself, so you don't have to defend it. Because, in like, let's a gentleman and a lady in a relationship. Him telling her these things and him wooing her and him going along.
Tell her how well he
do
is.
it and all. How when it come to light, she going, oh Lord, why? It's devastation. I tell her this thing because as somebody who deals with couples in terms of therapy,
Have you had that? Where one partner says, you led me to believe so and so.
yes,
He's a liar.
yes, and you have to be yes.
And you have to say, oh, he was aspirational. He
That,
was speaking in the spirit. This is where God is taking it.
no, but just speak the truth. So we need to speak the truth. Whatever happens, and here, you remember that thing? that the producer speak the truth.
Speaks
Cause
ever. Cause
what it will, yeah. He who speaks the
something or other does the wrong thing still.
still, yeah, man. On the chat yesterday, somebody says when somebody tell lie, them a thief, and thief and lie go together.
Really? I
Yeah,
didn't
in the
see
chat,
that.
yeah, man.
That sounds like another thing that
I
your
bet
grandmother would say.
lie and thief walk together. Yeah. So it is unfortunate, and as we keep saying, we are at a point in our national life that we have to face up to what we are seeing in the mirror about ourselves and make decisions as to which way we'll go.
All right. Civil Jamaica is speaking.
Yes.
The headline says Speaker must go. And a number of persons have come out. What's your position?
That you must go.
That she must go?
Of course. I asked the producer to what he think. He spoke yesterday on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pull back.
Yeah, man. Step away.
Step back.
Step away. Step away. Step away. Step away. Step away.
And if she's unable to do it on her own, her leader should help her.
Yeah.
It's the kind thing to do. Yeah, she's placed herself in a situation of jeopardy.
Remember,
And-
she's the same lady with the garbage, you know.
Yeah, I know. And she has the GLC breathing down her back. And I can tell you from experience that you don't like the breath of the GLC. It's not a comforting feeling.
It's not a nice feeling.
Just,
No.
no, and you know, but let me just update now those who are following in what civil society is saying. The Jamaica Accountability Meter portal JAM, they say, in light of the findings of the investigative report from the Integrity Commission and the ruling that this lady is to be charged, she should be removed or remove herself from her duties as Speaker of the House. Now, they're saying that any report from the Integrity Commission means a person should step back from duties. They're saying in light of the findings, and the findings, the essential findings are that she lied.
Yeah.
It's not just we found an inconsistency that could not be adequately explained. They found that she knowingly deceived them in the material that she reported. And they cast a narrative which suggests that even when she had an opportunity to make the record clear, she chose to sell, transfer, whatever. She chose to hide the information even deeper in a way that makes no sense, because you can't sell car without leaving a record, a trail.
Yeah,
So it
can't do
makes
that.
no sense. But they say 2 months or so after she lied to them, she then transferred the car.
Yeah.
So I would have feel that when you realize that, oh my gosh, because she's gone on record again as saying, I genuinely forgot. But if you genuinely forget something and it comes to your knowledge, you know, there is lots of legal precedent that demonstrates that you need to take action, the right action, as soon as you are aware of the truth.
Come and say no. Yeah, but when they bring it,
Apply, you know, she could
bring her
apply-
family into it, you know. That's the worst part, you know.
Yeah.
She bring
So
her family.
sister saying one thing, or brother-in-law saying one thing.
You can't do that.
And so that was revealed in the narrative given by the. So JAMP says, based on the findings, based on the fact that they've recommended that she's charged, because remember, there were some findings about the Prime Minister in some what was it, conflict of interest,
constituency
abuse
years
of
ago, and they
influence
said
thing.
they
But
couldn't do
They
it.
said they would not charge.
Time gone.
As a consequence, there was no need, even though some were still making heavy weather of it, there was no need to inflict any punishment on the Prime Minister.
Yeah, but
But in this case, the findings are there and the determination to charge her are on record. So this gatekeeper, Jam, says she should move back. Then we come to the Advocates Network and the National Integrity Action. Both of them have said immediate resignation.
Step aside.
No, not step aside. Immediately, by your own act, resign.
Okay.
Because you could step aside by saying, I'm taking a leave of absence.
From Parliament?
Yeah, you could, from her duties of as speaker, it could be suspended, you know? But they say resign fully. Take yourself out of the picture. Not to be seen on this stage anymore for that purpose. What were you saying?
No, I was just going back to the report, actual report that was done. And I'm wondering which one of these is referring to her, because it says failure to honor opportunity to discharge the liability, section 43 of the integrity prosecution. I wonder if she's that person. And they that person. And then they have now illicit enrichment of the corruption investigation, six persons. So you investigate
6 parliamentarians and 28 public officials.
Right. So there are people who are being, so there are 6 parliamentarians who are being investigated for illicit enrichment and 28 public officials.
Yeah.
And prosecution mean that they've done the investigation, so they refer it. No, so?
Yeah.
That's what it means. Failure to honor opportunity to discharge. So that's interesting.
No,
No, man, Conrad is there.
Earl.
Conrad is there.
You want to know who else is speaking? Well, you know, Earl has the time to. Yeah, Earl does. He's chatting. Yeah. The others are listening quietly.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 agencies says resign immediately. One says just, take her off duty. At the same time now, immediate past president of the JMEA,
Who is that?
John Mahfood. We haven't heard from Mitri.
Oh,
Immediate past president, Mr. John Mahfood says, in the interest of transparency and good governance, the Speaker should step aside from her role as presiding officer in Parliament. Jam, also, this is Miss Jeanette Calder, she also says, if Prime Minister Andrew Holness is going to be consistent with his commitment to create a culture, I guess, of accountability, then he should intervene. Parliamentary opposition, of course, we know their position. They walked out. They strenuously oppose her position as Speaker. They say her position as Speaker has become untenable and that she has no choice but to relinquish her position as President. As presiding officer.
A Speaker.
Yes. Julian Robinson said during an interview on Power 106 that he would not be attending the sitting of Parliament next Tuesday if Dalrymple Philibert is presiding. It is not clear whether this is the collective position of the opposition. Holness was absent from Tuesday's sitting.
He was
but
off the island.
Calder argued the Speaker told members of the House on Tuesday that she decided to table the Integrity Commission's report. Now, bear in mind, as Speaker, she has that authority. All right, 9 o'clock. Take our break. When we
And
come back,
we have our
we
guest.
will have a guest. I don't see him in the wings.
We
but
called
I'm
it
sure,
and I said he's.
I am sure that Pastor Percival is tracking him. We'll introduce him when we come back, tell you a little bit about why he's here. And then please just stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Morning Connection. Been an interesting morning, but we have a guest here with us today, Mr. Ricardo Allen. Thank you for coming. Yes, you have got to talk louder still though, you know.
That's fine. That's fine.
So I met Ricardo Allen when I went to my son's orientation at Arden, and he was a guest speaker. And when he was finished sharing his story, I stood up and I applauded him because it was significant. He's a young man, and you can see it in his face, the milk still around the corners of his mouth, as he would say. But
Does he need a napkin?
no, he don't need no napkin at all. But I was so impressed in terms of your story, and I said to Minette Lawrence, my co-host, we have to get this gentleman just to come and share his story with us, and just to find out more about him and how he has persevered and what he has accomplished in the short time that he's been on earth. But one of the things that impressed me, he says, I remember this hall very well. I said, remember this hall? He says, right here, I was baptized. I remember that you said you were baptized. Olson Hall at Arden High School, and he had fond memories of a lady. Who was that lady?
Mrs. Spinop. She took me in
She took you in.
from the church and sent me to school.
She took you in from the church and sent you to school. Okay.
She taught me how to learn and how to study. It's a good environment. It was a little different, than what I was used to, Augustone. But she really taught me something very valuable. That came through the church.
Okay. So the church have some good thing, Minnie.
We know that.
Yes.
But I'm curious now. We have Ricardo at the table. How are you? You had to pull yourself away from big things to be here this morning.
The big things aren't a problem now, just going through some significant losses
Yes.
over the past year, yeah.
On the personal side.
Yeah, so that's the biggest thing I'm treating right now.
Oh, so now you're old enough to mourn.
Yeah, and it's not fun.
It's not
Yeah,
fun.
it's not fun. As you get older, I feel like the probability of that increases.
Well,
Your bio says that you have an innate love for mathematics.
Oh, yes.
So I'm sure you've calculated it. That's fine. But since the church is there to you, that we God has placed eternity in our hearts.
Yeah,
So we know that we're only here for a time.
yeah.
What was it like for you, the early years? Because Pastor was so impressed. He
Yeah,
said
I mean,
you told your story. Which parish were you born in? Could we start?
Trelawney.
Trelawney.
Yeah, I was
Which
born in
community?
Rio Bueno. I don't know if you know Rio Bueno.
No, I
The
know.
highway kind of
I
bypass
know
it now.
Lormas.
Yeah.
Where's Larmos?
Well, you see, do you know that Trelawney shares a border with St. Anne
Yeah,
at the back in some hilly
Yeah.
country parts?
yeah.
Lormas is in that space.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I grew up in Jacksonville.
Is
know.
that Jacksontown close to Westwood?
Yes.
Okay.
So Stewart Town is where Westwood is at. Jacksontown and then Clarkstown, then
Right.
Duncans, then Falmouth.
Yeah.
But yeah, I grew up in
Yeah. So then
Trelawney.
from Rio Bueno to Augustown.
Yeah, I mean,
Who brought you?
well, Rio Bueno. I think we should start at Rio Bueno.
Yeah.
I was probably about 6 or 7. My aunt, I had an aunt in Kingston, who was very close to my mom. They grew up together, and she would oftentimes kind of bring us food and stuff, from Kingston, from town,
yeah. Yeah,
and
we
then you
know
look
what
forward
that
to her
is
and
like.
things. And the school was writing to her, sharing how good I was at school. Writing to my mom, and my mom would share it.
Share it with her sister.
And it was, I remember in grade 3, I spelled some word, I don't remember the word, but they allowed me to skip a grade because they thought I was
Just
too
on spelling
advanced.
that word.
Yeah, spelling the word, I was doing math, I was operating at a very high level. That's what they said. Now, keep in mind, I didn't have all the books and all the things and so on, but I just really loved counting, like math, like numbers, right?
Right.
And they sent her a letter, and my aunt saw it. She came to look for us, and she took me up. My father at the time.
So that's how you got to Augustown?
Yeah. That's how I got to Augustine. So she took me up. We packed up the vehicle. She said she's not leaving me now. Why she said that was when she came to Rio Buena at the time. I was in a tree. It was a Sunday afternoon, and I was eating guineps. That was my dinner. My mother, she was pregnant, and she was over a coal stove, and she just started crying,
What
being all
number child
emotional.
are you in your?
I'm the
your
first.
mom?
As the first, so
First sign of her strength.
Yeah.
And your dad? Where's your dad in this?
Well, I mean, I don't know now, but I only know one father now, and he just passed. But my biological father, I'm not sure where he is or what he's doing.
So you don't have a memory of growing up with mother and father in one home?
I do for 7 years,
Okay.
and shortly after that, so again, when she took me, my biological father was at the cricket pitch playing cricket. He was very mad when she took me, but she took me.
Were you first child for your dad also?
Yeah, no, I'm the second because I had a half sister.
But first son.
Yeah. So she took me. She took me up to Kingston. I already was very unhappy about that, and I'd imagine now as a father, I understand why he would be. But ultimately, he was okay with it. It was for a better life.
It was to give you opportunity.
And she just could not bear seeing my mother being stressed, being abused, we struggling. I didn't have food. I didn't have
When you
something.
say abuse,
Physically abused.
physically abused by your dad.
Yeah. I mean,
Were they young parents? Because it sounds like they're young people.
perhaps in the 30s. Perhaps in the 30s. My memory, I was 7 years old. My mommy had me at 18, so she was probably about 25. He was probably about 30. So it was.
So now that
it
you're
was-
a little older yourself, married with your children,
Right.
a young woman of 18 with her first child, they were young parents.
Very young.
Yeah.
Apparently met her in a grocery store and so on. But the point is that we were living there. We were struggling. I was walking barefooted to school most days. And she just couldn't endure it, my aunt. So she took me to Kingston, Aunt Sandra. No, she didn't have a lot of money. She was working at, of course, love her to death, man. And thank God she's still alive.
Yeah.
She was working at Mother's as a teller, as a cashier.
Yeah.
So she didn't have a lot of money,
Middleman
but she didn't have
kind of
she didn't have any kids and so on. So she took me bought my first
son.
sneakers, came to town, lived with she and my grandmother, spent time in between. My grandmother lived in Augustown, she lived elsewhere.
This is what, your maternal grandmother?
My maternal grandmother, and yeah, I mean that's kind of how everything kind of started. Now, interestingly, when I came to Kingston the first time, I witnessed a murder. Oh, and I didn't see somebody shooting someone, but I saw the result of it, right? And you can imagine a 7-year-old coming and seeing that. That was Augustown, and they pulled us out of the vehicle, threw the man in, and rushed him to hospital. That was my first
Introduction
to Kingston. And
the most you'd have seen in Rebuena is like an animal slaughter.
I didn't even see that. Oh, well, you're right. We saw goats being
Yeah, my
slaughtered.
country, we saw
goats, but
goats and the occasional chicken.
yeah, I never seen a man
But to
getting
see a
killed
man
and none of that. So
blood.
when I came here, it was an eye opener.
Rough beginning.
Yeah, I came in April, and I didn't get into school until September.
So you had a little time to learn the community.
Yeah, a little. But when I did my diagnostic test in Kingston, I failed. I failed the diagnostic. I don't know if I failed,
Who
but I
conducted
did.
that test?
Georgia Lee Primary. I didn't
Okay.
fail it. They
Yeah.
gave me remember I skipped a grade.
Right.
So they gave me a diagnostic test
Based
for
on-
the grade that they put me in. That not the grade that I was supposed to be in, the grade higher up. So I didn't do as well.
Yes.
And they put me back to the grade I was supposed to be in,
Right.
3 grade. And
Was
they
that
put
a
me.
blessing or a
Well, you know what? At the time, I was annoyed because I was very enthusiastic, man, bright, this and that and that.
Yeah.
But then, they put me back 3 grade, 4 streams down, right? So it's GHPRS.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
George Lee Primary School. I was in I believe S and so on. Anyway, I came first. So I was now in
In the land of
Kingston.
the blind.
Right. So
The one-eyed Mike, one-eyed man became king.
what that taught me was there's such a disparity between, at the time, certainly that has improved, but more to be solved. It taught me that there's a disparity between what we do here and what we do in some of the rural areas,
Schools,
right?
okay.
Schools and so on. So
Huge disparity.
huge disparity, but it did not change the fact that I was a blessed child with counting and math, and so put me in an environment, give me information, I'm gonna consume it, and I'm gonna think. Yeah, so I came first.
Moved to the other grade.
I moved to the other grade, and I came first. I came all the way up, graduated, passed for Jamaica College, and which was a school I wanted to go. It was close to Augustone.
So in all this time, you are the kid from country who is living in this city, not necessarily the best part of the city, but
Yeah.
very different from
Yeah.
your rural. Are you going back and forth? Are you transferring?
Yeah, that's a very
everything
good. Yeah, I did. I spent holidays in the country.
with your mom? Yeah.
I spent holiday in the country, and I remember my mom told my aunt that I am asking her for Milo, things that I'm now exposed to that I never knew before.
Yes.
I know mom and know
Yeah,
that
and mommy said, she felt bad because she couldn't provide it, and my aunt gave me a lecture. She says, when you go to Rome, do what the Romans do, and don't ask your mom for these things.
Can I ask you, is there any change that you could say, this changed in my mom's home because I came back different? I mean, even now looking deep down,
No,
did you impact that environment at all
I don't think I did. I think I made it less stressful for
for
her.
her? Well,
Because
that's okay.
she could not find, she could not afford to give us the life that she really wanted to.
Yeah.
I also went back to see when, or at the time when I went back, she had left my father, my biological father.
Yeah.
I'm going to differentiate between biological and son. Because there's a guy who I refer to as my father who is not my biological father. But when we went back, she had broken up with him, and the guy was lay-waiting her in the bushes, trying to kill her, cut off her ears, part of her ears one time.
But she was attacked.
Many times, man, and I saw that, I saw that. It made me very angry and so on. So I was just happy that she was out of that household. I was very concerned for my siblings. They were there. I had
many siblings?
many
two,
siblings by
my
this time?
brother and a sister. My brother was 6 years younger than I was, and my sister was 7 years younger than I was. So I left them there. So remarkably, when I left, I was worried about them
Yeah.
and my mother, like what would happen, because as a first
And
child,
how old are you at this time?
Time when you were like 7, 8 years old.
7, 8.
Wow.
Yeah, as a first child, you have an incredible responsibility
You feel it.
to protect. I'm not sure why it happens. I can't explain it scientifically, but there's an innate instinctive reaction to protect your mom and to lead from the front. Nobody taught me this, but I learned it. I don't know how I learned it. I can't explain it.
So even now, does your mother sort of pour into you any of her expectations? Like, you're my first son, I want you to be a man, I want you to go out, and does she
No.
communicate that way with you?
No, first of all, last year I lost her.
Okay.
In December last year in a car accident on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
So she's not here, but I can tell you that, when not all parents know and understand how to communicate,
Yeah.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
She communicated, however, in a way that you understood. She communicated love. So, for example, she would hug us, and if we're hungry together. I remember when she was pregnant, I took the bus barefooted with her to St. Anne's Bay from Rio Bueno, and I would just not allow her to go on the bus by herself, because we used to beg rides from Trelawney to Kingston on the buses, if she needs to come up and do anything. So those are the memories I have, and my life stream was to make it better for her. Like that's my, I tell people that's my
Motivation.
that was my only motivation in life, really. So
How much did you accomplish? How far did you go with that dream? Because
you know what,
I'll say something to you even before you answer. Because I mean, you know, I have country roots as well, and you grow up and you look, and from you can have a dream. You're looking at the things you would change one day.
Yeah.
Whatever you do to the best of your ability is enough. What did you do that you could say, no,
I think-
memory
I
of
think-
my mother?
I think so. There are two ways to look at this, right?
Yes.
There's the end view, meaning what will we do in the end?
Yeah.
What's that ultimate thing I want to do?
Yeah.
And there's a next view of things that you did along the way.
Along the way. Yes.
I think that my approach was a little split in the middle. There are things I really wanted to do at the end, but there are things we did in the middle. So, for example, I was awarded a Fulbright scholarship in 2013. My mother was ill.
Yeah.
I wrote to the U.S. Embassy that I cannot take the scholarship because I need to take care of her.
Right.
So
You deferred it, or you
I tried to
just-
defer it, they wouldn't
but they
allow it.
wouldn't allow.
So I gave it up.
You gave it up.
And it was that I had a little business that I was trying as well, the tutoring, but I could do it if I go overseas. But the real thing was that my mother was gravely ill.
And you needed to.
She had an overactive thyroid, and I decided to stay and look after her. Got her help, got her the help that she needed, and so on. So I think that was like the first thing. And then before that too, while studying at Tyrrell, I was in my third year, and I stopped everything that I was doing in school. I was juggling really, and I built her a house. I didn't have the money to build a house, so I had to get support from people. People like, you know, the McConnells, the people who I knew,
Yeah.
you know, JC old boys.
In other words, you humbled yourself and
Yeah.
you got it done.
Yeah, and I took off from school. My lecturers were looking for me. I used to go to classes, you know, my colleagues would remember, with paint on my skin, on my face, because
were
You were
painting.
working on
yeah, I was
house
a
too.
plumber, I was painting, and so it was third year UA, the most difficult degree you could do at UA, which is at Tyrrell. So, you know, the point is that along the way, I have ensured or tried to ensure that my mom was okay. And then ultimately, you know, after the Fulbright thing, I promised her that, Mom, the decision I'm making now, it doesn't seem like the right one, but I can tell you that if I create this company called One on One,
No,
we're gonna now be better off in a few years. That's, you know, I started the company, I raised money and so on. And last year, you know, we listed the company for $2 billion, and she was so happy about that. She screamed, yeah, man, she screamed and so on. So we were no things happen along the way, but you know, one message she sent me last October was, "Son, thanks for saving my life," you know, and she says, "I'm now a nurse. I'm now gonna be buying my house." Her life's dream was to be a nurse.
So your mom actually went and I know it's
Well,
not
she
her
went
story,
overseas.
and she trained and
Yeah, so after she got ill, I managed to get her a visa so that my family members could help her,
Right.
because I couldn't do it all by myself. So she would go back and forth,
So when you say my family members,
like
are
my
these
grandmother
through her-
and my
through
aunt.
her bloodline.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know, they would support me and things. So she was going back and forth and things. But the point is that she just wanted to help her kids, you know, like it was very stressful not being able to afford for your kids. You can imagine what that is, right? Like, you know, it must have been painful. So, you know, she wanted that, and I gave her the opportunity to really just go back and forth, and she was getting the help overseas,
Yeah.
here and so on. But importantly, she became a nurse. She got married. She became a U.S. citizen. She sent me last November. Today's son, I became a U.S. citizen
Was she died in the U.S. or she came
in the U.S.
Oh.
On Christmas Day
Wow.
last year. This is when I felt things were
Settling now.
she was becoming,
Good place.
she was now realizing her life's dream.
Yeah.
And that's the part that hurts me the most, you
Let
know
me
what I
ask
mean?
you, why are you carrying a sense that having made all these significant accomplishments, she hadn't realized her life's dream? I mean,
Yeah, I think it's
why?
I don't know.
When she did it.
When she did it, she became a nurse.
Yeah,
She
well,
was
that's what
married.
people are telling me.
That's
They're telling me, so
But
I'm
in
trying
your
to
heart,
process it. But in
you're
my
feeling
mind,
like-
because remember, I gave two examples. I said there's
Yeah.
the end view,
Yes,
and then there are things you do along the way.
right.
I feel like, yes, I have accomplished things along the way, but we didn't get the chance to lay down and said, remember when we used to take bus together? We never get that chance.
Okay.
Because we were busy in the living and trying to, kind of get there. Oh, mom, you became a nurse. Fantastic. What's next? And we're still trying to get there. So we didn't get that chance to step away from it all, look back. So, when we used to take bus together barefooted, we never get that.
All right. So now you've created one-on-one. What of the dream for that company comes out of your mother's story and your own journey? What are you?
Yeah, well, I created it just because, I did not want another child to have the difficulties that I endured as a young man.
So not everybody would have. But what's your answer? Auntie Sandra?
Auntie Sandra,
Yeah.
no, I don't think everybody is willing to do what I have done. You have to understand. I have done quite a bit. I used to be a janitor. That's my first job.
Janet at what age?
12, 13.
1, 3.
Um,
What did you say? That 13 or
30.
13. He's 32.
Yeah, well, that's
I used to be a janitor at a supermarket here in Kingston. I used to wipe the floors every evening after school. The floor was red, so they used to call me Red Boot. Nice. So that was one of my jobs. I used to do framing. I used to do art. I always had a job. I used to sell bottle in Ligani.
So
in the
I
middle
have
of
to
Ligani.
ask you this because you when you say it, it sounds like a life of hardship as opposed to a life of opportunity. Because coming from country, that there are many able-bodied youngsters who could take a job after school and be greatly blessed
Right.
by what it means for their well-being, but those opportunities don't even exist. So
Yeah.
what is it in the memory of it that
I think
caused you to look at it as something that
well, I don't know if opportunities don't exist. I think there are few of them, and it usually comes to those who go
such
after it.
opportunities don't exist?
In terms of
In the rural parishes where you don't have business places that could give you a little extra thing, even to pack groceries.
I get you. Okay, I understand. Well,
It's farming and
Well-
time-based activities that,
Yeah, well, I
that
tell you
don't give
something.
you cash as readily.
so I won a goat in when I was 6
Yeah.
from my primary school, Rainbow in all age, and I won a goat. I named him Billy. We sold him.
Yes.
I planted melons and I sold melons.
Yeah.
When I was young, I gave my mother the first money at age 6
Yeah.
because I was planting melons.
Yeah.
So there's less or different opportunities,
Different,
but I think the
and
mentality.
the time cycle is different.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
I plant ginger and peas
Yeah.
and corn.
No, it takes a little longer.
It takes
But
longer.
I tell you
All right.
something.
Hold that thought. That thought.
It's
That
9:30.
30
We're
and
gonna
we'll
come
come back with that. I told you it would be riveting. I told you it would be riveting.
So welcome.
Yes, yes. I told you it would be riveting, and that's the more you share your story, the more impressed I am in terms of what you've done and so on. So you were sharing something with us when we went on the break.
I didn't even know what I was sharing.
All right. Well, our guest this morning is Ricardo Allen. He is the innovator and the founding heart behind One-on-One. You were just beginning to talk about One-on-One. I had asked you if in the design and mission of One-on-One,
Yeah, okay,
there
yes.
is the DNA of your
Yeah,
own journey with your mom, and you were explaining that you didn't want other students
Yeah, I
to
thought.
suffer as you did.
Yeah, I thought. I genuinely think that God has blessed me with a mind to do math, with a strength to withhold and to stave off pressures of life. I use this term that I am bulletproof, not bulletproof, bulletproof. Because you go through so many things, and each time it makes you strong. So it's like you walk out and you're like, hit me with something, like test me kind of thing, And I feel like not everyone has that result for one reason or another, and neither do I hope that they have it, simply because it's painful. When I say it's painful, it's not easy. Your mind, I personally believe that I have several traumatic experiences from a child that I would not wish for no other child, right? And I feel as if that, given that I have gone through it, how I have lived my life as a child growing up, the opportunities that I created, when I say I created, meaning knock on those doors, hoping one would open, I believe that I can now package that and give it to each and every child in an affordable way. So, when I started One-on-One, it started out, to be quite honest with you, as a need to earn extra income from teaching math to students, right? And so I used to kind of go around Kingston and tutor math, but I wanted it to be super personal, meaning very personalized and individualized, because that's my hope, right? Like, you know, a child growing up with means and resources, they can afford a tutor or a personal tutor. A child like me growing up in the country could not. We had to go based on our own agency, meaning taking control of your learning. If you want to read or if you love books, that's on you. So I think it was a combination of taking my DNA, meaning my love for math, my passion for that, my passion for problem solving. Another important thing that I think kind of contributed to it was I really believe that education can actually change people's lives. Meaning, you know, one of the things my father, and this is not my biological father, my adopted father.
So tell us now, because we might as well stop pretending he's a phantom.
Well,
The man who adopted you gave you an understanding of sonship and fatherhood. Recently died.
yeah, and, you know,
You want to call his name, or you just want to leave it in the...
yeah, I mean, I'll leave it out there.
Just leave it there.
But the personally, you know, in 2011, I was a Fulbright
Scholarship winner.
scholarship candidate nominee,
Won it in 2013.
and I won the Fulbright in 2013. But while I was pursuing my academic journey, he said to me, "Ricardo, you have a business." I didn't understand it. Like, I had 1,000 students coming to me for tutoring and so on, but he says, "Ricardo, you have a business."
1,000 students?
About 1,000, yeah, because we had different teachers at this time. We were at Liberty Academy. We were teaching, like we were
Okay.
And teaching in person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and people were doing really well. Like, you know, in terms of math, 95% grade 1. Like, you know, the formula worked. Like, keep the classes small, focus on the skills of the students, report to them the weaknesses in their skills, and have them correct them. And then when they go to the exam, they breeze through. That was the formula. It was simple
Yeah.
like that, right?
And it
Okay.
still is.
It still is the formula.
Yeah.
And he says to me, "Ricardo, you have a business." And, you know, I took his, you know, I heard it, but
Yeah.
you never hear it, right? And, you know, when I started working, I started out at Sagicor. I did some summer jobs and stuff. I started at Sagicor, and I was preparing to be an actuary. You know, to be an actuary, you have to complete what's called actuarial exams, just in the same way a lawyer has to do exams to become a lawyer and so on. So here I am preparing for the exams. The book is about this thick. It was very thick. I was not going to read it. I'm not someone who is big on kind of reading pages or, you know, words on pages. I'm more like a videographic guy kind of thing. So I went online, bought these videos, prepared for the exam. Results came back, got a perfect score. And here I'm thinking, no, by the way, that scholarship, that exam was paid for by Sagicor, right? So I'm preparing to become an actuary. You know, Sagicor employs actuary. Sagicor funding my education. They sent me to school. They paid for everything, you know. I got a scholarship, right? I went through school and so on. Now, at the time now, I just use these videos to prepare for my exam. I have a Fulbright scholarship I've just won. I have 1,000 students coming to me for tutoring on a weekend. And I just found out that you can use videos to prepare for exam. Can you imagine me in 2013? I said, I'm going to start making math videos for people.
Yeah.
What about the scholarship? Well, can I keep it? No, you can't. So, all right, I'll give it up. What
This
about...
time your mom is ill.
Yeah, my mom is ill. What about the job? Okay, well, I'll give that up too, right? And my mom, well, I get more time to take care of her. So I quit my job, gave up the scholarship, most painful letter. To this day, it still hurt. Up to last year when there was an IPO. Now I feel a little better. But up to last year,
Felt like a
it
sacrifice.
felt not much, so much a sacrifice. You live every day questioning your decision.
Yeah.
Meaning, what if you fail? What if you gave all of this up and this that you gave it up for don't work out? What are you going to tell mom? What are you going to tell yourself? You're now 7 years older, by the way. What's going to happen? And I kept questioning every meaning of my existence, you know? And
You should look at what Fulbright scholars are doing today.
no, that's...
My comfort, the ticket to heaven.
yeah, no, well, I tell you, there are some great ones, and you know, one of the things I'll say is that, you know, and I remember sharing this, is that you do have people who get these opportunities and come back and help, and you have some who forget where how they got it, and it's a mixed bag, right? And I love more people when they get these very few opportunities to actually come and help. But the point is that when we got that and we started the company now, that was the fuel.
So who's we?
So it was myself, Danny Williams, John Bailey, Mikey Bernard, Douglas Orain. we came together. They were my first shareholders. And if you realize, these are older guys who cares about Jamaica, right?
I was thinking, it's not exactly your generation.
Right. So
But it's a good kit to start.
no,
with.
very good kid. And you know, we sat in a board meeting, I never forget, and I said to them, I have the Fulbright scholarship. I'm gonna go, just like Mark Zuckerberg, I'm gonna build the company in my dorm room at college. They said, Ricardo, lovely story.
Investing in that.
We if you go to school, man, we'll help you, man. We'll buy the books, we'll fund you, we'll give you everything you need if you go to school. But you're not going to go to school and run a business, because anything you do, you have to remain focused, you have to dedicate to it, and you have to put your work in it, kind of thing. And they said, if you choose not to, we'll also support that. I played with the decision, I made the decision to stay, build out the company, started with nothing. We listed the company for $2 billion last
Any
year.
regrets so far?
Well, not no. Not no.
Look like we can't get into it.
Right, so one of the listeners is asking, what exactly does one-on-one do?
So we're
Just describe it. We're not advertising one-on-one because you see with a $2 billion company,
You can't get time. You could get something. Yes.
well, one-on-one provides personalized online learning for companies, individuals, and governments, right?
in certain set disciplines or in any field.
Well, we
whatever.
provide our technology to governments and businesses to use to train their team members. So we give them our
So
platform
like-
and our
yes,
courses that they can use to distribute training to their
Yes,
team members. So we have a library of 30,000 courses. Companies are using it to train their team members, and governments now, what we are doing is digitalizing education systems. So in the Bahamas now, the entire education system in the Bahamas runs on our technology, for example. We're working with Jamaica to do that very same thing in a few years, kind of
So-
thing. But that's kind of what we do.
All right, so when you come back for the paid one, I'll ask you more.
That's right. That's right.
But so right now, you innovated and you created a system that delivers educational services online in the virtual.
Yeah, in the virtuals. In fact, I must
And
tell
it's
you,
affordable.
no, super. In fact, in Bahamas, the government pays for it. In Jamaica, we're kind of working on various models during COVID. You know, so that company I started in 2013, in 2020, was able to keep all the students online in the entire country. So we turned on our platform. March is when COVID happened. We turned on our platform, made it openly accessible to everyone. Over 250,000 students were taught online during COVID.
Not only.
All subjects.
Because it's a software and a program.
Yeah, so it's an online learning platform that services different groups. So for students, it's your high school courses and so on. For companies, it's professional development courses. And for governments, it's digitalization of that education system. What do I mean? The government can sit in their office, the minister can see who is at school, who is not, who is doing well, who is not, etc., etc. So it's kind of top level thing. So, you know, that's what we've created. It's quite amazing.
Complete loss of privacy.
Well, I don't think so. What I'll say is that, you know, one of the things I struggled with in COVID was this thing that is so bad, which is COVID, I was benefiting so much from.
Struggling with that.
I struggled with it. Like, meaning when my company prospered when during a bad thing. And I had to come to grips with the fact that I did not create one-on-one for COVID. I create one-on-one to solve a problem, and thank God I was available around COVID, because students would have had even more learning losses. And so that's how I have kind of resolved that in my head. But I can tell you and admit, I've not said this to anyone, right, that, and even my father, he had to help me through that, because, you know, I was saying, boy, it's kind of like, you know, it's like, I'm a passion-driven guy. You know, whatever I do must help people, kind of thing. You know what I mean? And education does that for me. But I did not like the fact that COVID affected so many people, and I had that struggle. So that's a personal struggle I've overcome. But
The man who
yeah,
made body bags and made a killing during.
yeah, it's thing. But you know, I tell you something, right?
Yeah, all profit.
My live stream is, and to answer your question, because the question is, what has motivated me as my mother and son? I tell you this. We've just invested about $250 million in a technology I think will change education and help it. And what we're doing is that we've built a big facility right here in Kingston that will house the best teachers in the country. They're going to teach, and I'm installing in every school a 100-inch interactive panel where that teacher at the central location is going to teach it.
So the master
So the
teacher
master teacher will
available.
teach the entire
All right. So
workshop.
this is a good note on which to close, because if you ever get to know me better, you'll know that my heart is still in rural Jamaica. And every time I see something deployed in the city, and I know what it would mean in the rural parts, I mean, my heart breaks a little, because I want the best to be available to any child, anywhere, or to every child, everywhere in our island. So I was going to ask you, how are you infusing what you do with that kind of energy? Because you must still see yourself being hustled out of radio.
Well, I tell you something. One of the schools we're installing in is Westwood High School. And you
What
know,
about St. Hilda's?
we're doing that too.
Well, you
St.
said all
Hilda's,
schools,
so remember, but St. Hilda's, you know, St. Hilda's is in the middle of Brownstone.
Yeah.
Westwood is in Bush.
Jackson
Right?
Town.
Right here. And what I'm saying is
So you
that
get into
we're
primary
going,
schools, is it all
that's
schools or
next
high
year is
school
for
first?
primary school, but the money that we've invested
Yeah.
is our money we raised on the IPO last year. We raised 350 million, and I'm investing
Yeah,
250 in it. Now here's the thing. Here's a vision. Ricardo Allen from Rehoboth and Trelawney should not have needed to come to Kingston to be what he is
get a
today.
fighting chance.
And what I mean by that is not just the math and the language and the physics, chemistry, biology, but just imagine an education system where I can push to high school students professional development skills that they can use immediately after high school to get a job. For example, a certification in Microsoft, a certification in digital skills, this, that, and the other. That's what now we can do through this
That
infrastructure.
portal.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow.
On another occasion, we can
It
speak
come back by
about
the painting.
no, but we can speak about how to ensure that we don't rob our children of their childhood, because all of this
Socialization.
talk about getting vocational training into schools at an earlier date is pushing towards firing up a workforce ahead of its natural time in the evolutionary sense. And it's just the balancing, because you still want kids to run up and down, climb trees, go to the river, enjoy the freedom which we know you lose so quickly once you get into the big
I have a
bang.
question for you.
So there's a balancing.
No, I agree. I have a question for you.
Yes.
Education 400 years ago was a chief teaching an apprentice a specific skill.
You picked 400 years.
Let's, I'm just talking way back.
60 years ago?
No, but I'll tell you something. It was very specific of
Yeah.
me preparing you for the work world.
Survival-based.
Industrialization came where we needed to mass produce people for the workforce, meaning everybody does a standard curriculum to grade 9, then you kind of specialize after that.
Yeah.
So that was necessitated by mass producing people for the workforce and then train them at that point.
Yes, yeah.
Technology allows us, in my mind, to now provide education in a way
You're not wrong,
that is very much
You're not wrong.
specific for that apprentice to
Yeah.
be prepared for the world that he wants to live in. So I don't want us to conflate technology with robbing someone of their own kind of desire to play and so on. I have a daughter, she's 5, I have one another, she's 8, right?
But Ricardo, already
Yeah.
technology has invaded our lives to the point where...
No, you're absolutely right. And my wife, she bans them from all the devices.
Okay.
and thing. But the point is
At the dinner
that
table.
the point is that if you use it well, this is the key. If you use it well,
Yeah.
it changes your life, my friend. And that's really
Hey,
Right. On that note,
research me a little bit and see how much technology is in the DNA. But I think it's a good point to thank you.
Yeah, that's-
I'm glad you've shared your energy. I hope we lifted a little bit of some of what you are carrying.
Yeah.
Leave it right here at the table. I look forward to speaking to you again, Pastor Percival. I don't know what else you want to say. We have to wrap up because we're...
it was good. I'm glad, but we are, as we were saying, we're in the process of change. We're looking in the mirror in our country, saying what are the best things that are here, and we need to move on, and you represent that. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
Fresh air,
No
man.
problem, no problem. Thank you so
All
much.
right,
And
don't
thanks for having me.
disappear. We're just gonna thank our listeners.
Yeah.
See if they had a question for you before we go. Let me see what's going on here. Someone.
Jackie says,
Jackie says.
true. No child should.
No child. All right. Okay. All right. Also, it's not about city first and other areas, rural or others, but after, but everyone affording equality in such opportunity. That is the dream.
Yeah.
I'm not in Kingston really by choice. I'm in Kingston by necessity.
Yeah.
If I try to do what I'm doing here,
love the country,
there,
by the way.
it is what all of us aspire to keep in our lives, the freshness of the countryside.
Yeah.
Mr. Producer, thank you so much for taking us through the morning. Listeners on air and online, we
This
bless
is our
you.
weekend.
We start our weekend and we're gonna enjoy some food from JD's Urban Pub. Percival, thank you very much, sir.
I am grateful.
Yeah.
I'm
Ricardo, it's a
I'm
nice
lifting
note
up.
to end on. You've given us a good diversion from the speaker must go. That is eating up all of the emotional energy in the country right now. Tata, everyone. Have a good weekend. See you on Monday. God willing.